I'd like to share with you the 5 steps that you will need to take to cure panic. Now, you can take these steps yourself, or you can take them with the help of a therapist or an online program like my Anxiety Wizard program. But you do have to take these steps, and there pretty much isn't a shortcut. So let's kick off straight away with the first step. Panic is a really, really, really unpleasant feeling. And so your brain can't help but try and figure out why you're having a panic attack. And so people who struggle with panic often say, oh, I can't drive because it makes me have a panic attack. I can't go to the shops because it makes me have a panic attack. I can't go into crowds. I can't sit in the middle aisle of a theatre or a cinema. I can't go to places that I haven't been before. I can't eat certain kinds of foods. So you're prone to say, I can't do this because that makes me have a panic attack. So the first step is this: to recognize that your brain makes you have a panic attack, nothing else. It doesn't matter where you go. You could be in the supermarket, and you've done that hundreds of times, but now you could say, I can't go to the supermarket because I have a panic attack. No, you can't go to the supermarket because your brain makes you panic. You see, when you say, I can't go to the supermarket because I might have a panic attack, you're really setting yourself up to be imprisoned in the panic experience. And really, no matter what you do, you will thereafter live defensively. You'll always be making decisions based on fear. So the first step is this: your brain makes you panic. Nothing else makes you panic. The supermarket doesn't make you panic. The motorway doesn't make you panic. Going to the theatre doesn't make you panic. Going to a restaurant doesn't make you panic. Nothing else makes you panic. The only thing that can make you panic is your brain. Step 1, your brain makes you panic. Step 2, well, okay, why does your brain make you panic? Well, your brain guesses that that might be a frightening experience, or that might be something that's really terrifying. And so it gives you the sensation of like arousal and preparedness to fight or to flee. So basically, panic is the fight or flight system really ramping up, kicking in at high power, 100%. But you don't have an actual external reality, a physical threat. There isn't a threat. So panic is the fight or flight system, but it's got nothing to fight or to flee from. It's very common for people to have panic attacks in bed. Typically, bed is the place that you feel the safest. So this illustrates, I hope, that a panic attack is a mistake that your brain has made. It has made the assumption that you need to have the adrenaline and the cortisol. You need to have these stress hormones to survive in this situation. But you don't. So step 2 is to recognize that panic is a mistake. And actually you don't need to have panic. Step 3, you start to have a panic attack long before you have a panic attack. So you start to worry about what might happen if you go to the supermarket, for instance. You start to anticipate having an anxiety feeling in your body before you go to the theatre. So whenever you have panic, you're actually journeying towards panic, and it starts long before you actually have a panic attack, or you feel that level of panic anxiety. And so if you do that every time, if you always anticipate by worrying, by ruminating, by overthinking, if you always do that, then you're always setting yourself up to feel as if you're going to have a panic attack. So we have to really recognize that panic is a process that you suffer from, but you're the architect of that panic, because you start the process of panicking long before you actually ever get there. So step 3 is recognizing that if you don't want to reach the destination, don't go on the journey. If you don't want to have panic, don't worry, ruminate, and overthink. Don't wind yourself up. Don't create that pathway that leads to panic. And I'll tell you about that in step 5. Step 4 is to recognize that panic captures you. Now, the emotion at the base of panic is fear. So panic is a representation of fear. It's a real feeling. I mean, I agree with you that you definitely feel frightened, but it's not legitimate in the sense that it's a mistake your brain has made. Nevertheless, the emotion of fear is extremely powerful. Historically, the emotion of fear is really to keep you safe. And therefore it's very hard to ignore fear. It's very hard to, kind of just like put it out of your mind. And it really, I wouldn't even suggest you bother trying. Fear captures you. But we have a little bit of kind of reserve in here where we can go, okay, I feel frightened, even though I know that I'm actually safe. So although we're captured by fear and panic kind of captures us within it, we can't change an emotion from the inside. We've got to step outside of the panic experience to change it. So step 4 is that panic and the emotion of panic captures you. Step 5. Okay, this is the active part. This is where we do something different. So the 4 steps that I've gone through previously, they kind of tell you what's happening and they tell you why it's happening. But step 5, we have to step outside of the panic experience, and we've got to recognize that panic is created by your brain. Panic is a mistake your brain makes. You're used to, and you have been practicing having panic. You've been winding yourself up, for however long you've been having anxiety. And in fairness, anxiety is the ground in which panic grows. Panic is just the peak, it's the pinnacle of the anxiety experience. But you set yourself up to have a panic attack long before you have one. You worry, you ruminate, you overthink. And then that makes you avoid stuff. Because if you make the mistake of thinking, I can't go to the supermarket because it makes me panic, well then you'd avoid the supermarket. But now we understand step 1. It's not the supermarket that makes you panic. It's step 2. So this is what we have to do. We have to recognize that you are going to continue to feel panicky for a little bit of time as you implement the steps. We can't, kind of go, okay, that was a good video. I'm never going to have panic again. That's not how it works. We have to retrain your brain to stop giving you panic. Because in fairness, your brain actually kind of believes that you want this experience. Your brain's not giving it to you because it's trying to be mean. It gives it to you because you have been reinforcing the idea and you've been encouraging it really by accepting it that panic is something that is important to you and you want it. So we have to retrain your brain that you don't want to have panic. We do this in the following way. We accept that we will feel anxious. We recognize that it's just your brain creating it, and there's nothing in the environment, etc., which would make us feel anxious. Your brain is just having a guess. I imagine your brain's guessing that going to the shops, for instance, will make you panic. Okay, so if you go to the shops, which I'm expecting you to do, you will feel anxious. But we have to go, okay, just because I feel anxious, just because my brain is making me feel panicky, I am actually in the process of regaining control. When you do the thing that you fear, because the fear is not an appropriate emotion for that context, when you do the thing that you fear, you start to get back control. So we would say this, right? I feel really anxious, but you know what? I'm excited to be taking back control. Even though I feel anxious, I'm excited to be taking back control. Because interestingly, the emotion of fear and the emotion of excitement use the same physiology. And when we reinterpret it, when we reinterpret the meaning of that physiology, then that gives us the experience we have, right? You could be excited or you can be frightened, okay? So you go to the supermarket or wherever it is that you feel panic and you say to yourself, okay, even though I feel anxious, I'm excited to be taking back control. And you stay in that situation, you stay there, and you keep saying this to yourself, you keep telling yourself that you're excited to be taking back control. And what will happen is, over a few minutes, you will start to feel less anxious. And as you start to feel less anxious, that is the process by which your brain is relearning, it's retraining, it's getting a new understanding. It's going, okay, so we don't need to feel anxious here. Oh, okay, fair enough. And it will stop you from feeling anxious. And bit by bit, you recover the lost ground that you've made. Your comfort zone gets bigger and you then become in charge of what you can do rather than fear. And making decisions based on fear, making decisions based on panic is in charge of you and you're regaining control. So even though I feel anxious now, I'm excited to be regaining control over my life. I'm excited to be regaining control over panic. I'm excited to be regaining control because that's what you're doing. Now, sort of a bonus thought. Every time you make a decision based on fear. Oh, I can't do that because I might have a panic attack. You're reinforcing your brain's idea that things are very frightening. And every time you go, yeah, I'm probably going to be anxious, but you know what? I'm excited to have an opportunity to regain control of my life. You're telling your brain that you do not need to feel frightened there. And the more excited you are to have opportunities to regain control of your life, the less your brain will give you panic and anxiety, and the more you will feel in control. The absolute secret sauce of curing panic is to be on board with the steps that I've given you, and to be excited about getting back control, and to not allow fear to be the determiner of what you do. And that is, in a nutshell, the 5 steps to taking back control from panic, really. It's the 5 steps to curing panic. So I hope you found this interesting. Please do subscribe and like this video. And please share it if you want to. Please make sure that you do what you need to do to get future videos, because the steps that you take here are the steps that you take in any kind of psychological therapy process. And now that you know what they are, that means that you can take the steps and you can help yourself. And that's the whole thing about active self-help. Thanks for taking the time to watch and listen.